I was standing at the floor-to-ceiling windows in my downtown office, watching the sun dip behind the skyline. Long shadows stretched across the city, a city I had a hand in shaping. As the founder and CEO of Apex Studio, I'd taken the company from a small-time architectural outfit and turned it into one of the most forward-thinking engineering firms on the West Coast. Behind me, the door creaked open. I didn't have to look to know it was Colin Mercer, my CFO. He was the only one who never bothered to knock. "Working late again?" he asked. "Something's off," I said, finally turning around. At 46, I still kept myself in shape. Old military habits die hard. My steel-gray eyes had always caught the smallest things, whether on a battlefield or in a boardroom. Colin's brows pulled together. "This about the Montgomery project?" I shook my head. "No. It's Lena." That wiped the look off his face. Everyone at Apex Studio knew Lena and I had built this company from scratch. We were partners in every sense, or at least we had been. "She's been pulling away lately," I told him. "Takes calls behind closed doors, leaves early, comes back late." "You think she's—" Colin trailed off. "I'm not jumping to conclusions," I interrupted. "I watch. Then I move. That's how I've always done it." Later that night, I walked into a quiet house. No lights on. No dinner on the table. I checked my phone, no texts, no missed calls from Lena. Third time this week. I poured myself a small glass of bourbon and opened my laptop. My sister Rachel's face appeared on the screen. "You got it installed?" I asked straight away. She nodded. With her background in cybersecurity, she'd always been a valuable ally. "It's up and running," she said. "If anyone touches the server files you flagged, you'll get a notification." "And the other thing?" "Trackers active on her car." Rachel paused. "Ethan, are you absolutely sure?" "If I'm wrong," I said quietly, "nobody ever needs to know." But deep down, I knew I wasn't. The next morning, I got to the office early. Gave a nod to security, rode the executive elevator to the top floor. I noticed Lena's door was shut, odd for that time of day. As I walked by, I caught voices. One was hers. The other, a man's. I didn't recognize it. I didn't barge in. Just kept walking to my office and pulled up the security feed on my computer. There she was, sitting close to Logan Whitaker, a venture capitalist who'd been hanging around Apex Studio, supposedly interested in investing. I zoomed in. Her hand was resting lightly on his arm. He leaned in, talking to her like they were more than just business partners. My face didn't show anything as I checked the security logs. Lena had been in the building until midnight. So had Logan. At 10:54 p.m., they both accessed files, specifically, the ones with our client lists and financial projections. That evening, my phone buzzed. Rachel's alert had triggered. Lena's car was parked at the Madison Hotel, downtown. I drove there, parked across the street, and waited. At 9:43 p.m., she walked out with Logan. His arm was around her waist. They kissed before heading to separate cars. When Lena got home at 10:45, she said she'd been working late. I didn't argue. Just nodded, kissed her on the cheek, and went back to studying blueprints like nothing had happened. But everything had. The following week was all about control. I kept things looking normal on the outside, but inside, I was tracking everything. Every meeting between Lena and Logan. Every document they opened. Every time they met after hours. "You really think this is the way to go?" Colin asked me one evening over drinks at a bar far from our usual spots. When I was in the Special Forces, I told him, we had a saying, the enemy's biggest weakness is thinking they've already won. Colin didn't look convinced. "Lena's not the enemy, Ethan." My eyes locked on his, cold and steady. "Anyone who turns on me becomes the enemy." That's not a threat. That's just the way it is. Neither of us said anything after that. I found myself thinking back to when I first met Lena, 11 years ago. I just left the military, carrying baggage I didn't talk about, and I wanted to build something solid, something real. She was smart. Ambitious. A marketing executive who immediately saw what I was trying to create. Together, we went all in, mortgaged everything we had, pulled all-nighters, sacrificed starting a family so we could pour ourselves into Apex Studio. At least, that's what I thought. A week later, I caught a break. Lena had opened a personal email on her work computer. It was from Logan. The board members are with us. Bennett and Carver will vote our way. That gives us the majority, 5-4. After Friday's shareholder meeting, we can roll out the restructuring. He won't know what hit him. I forwarded it to my private server and wiped it from her system. That night, I stayed late, going over the bylaws and shareholder agreements I'd written when we first launched Apex Studio. The next day, I sat down with Claire Dalton, my personal attorney. They can't just force you out, she said, flipping through the documents. Your founder shares have protections built in. They can't, unless they convince the board I'm a threat, I told her. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. I showed her the materials I'd uncovered, a full-blown smear campaign. They were painting me as unstable because of my military history, too old school in my leadership style, and too rigid to accept outside funding. This is a personal attack, Claire said, visibly frustrated. It's more than that, I said. It's war. And they made the first move. That evening, I met Rachel at a quiet little cafe. I dug deeper, she said, sliding a flash drive across the table. Logan isn't just another investor. 3 companies Logan had taken over in the past 5 years had all met the same fate, gutted, sold off piece by piece. I gave a short nod. Lena knew this. That email makes it pretty clear she's in on it, Rachel said. She hesitated for a moment. There's more. They've already booked one-way tickets to London. Departures Saturday morning. That's the day after the board meeting. I didn't react outwardly, but my hand clenched a little tighter around my coffee cup. Later that night, I sat alone in my home office, staring at an old photo of Lena and me, the day we signed the lease on our first office. She was beaming, back when our dreams were still shared. Now her smile just looked fake. Like it was all part of some long con. I flipped the frame face down and started typing. The board meeting was scheduled for 3 p.m. on Friday. At noon, I called Colin. It's time, I said. Activate Protocol Omega. He hesitated. Ethan, are you absolutely sure? Once we pull the trigger on this. I've been sure since the moment she first lied to me, I cut him off. Do it. At 2 p.m., I walked into the boardroom alone. All 9 board members were already seated. Bennett, Carver, Dalton and Langston, all clearly on Logan's side. Holloway and Navarro, hard to read. Only Ellison, Connolly and Briggs were still in my corner. Lena and Logan were sitting side by side at the far end of the table. Not even trying to hide it anymore. Lena blinked when she saw me. Ethan. Logan gave a smug smile. Didn't think you'd show. This is just a routine financial check-in. Is it? I said, sitting down. Then why did you prep these? I slid copies of their presentation across the table. Lena went pale. How did you, she started. Know about you and Logan? Or the vote to oust me? Or that you've already bought tickets to United Kingdom? My voice stayed calm. I know everything, Lena. I always have. Logan leaned forward. This is ridiculous. It's exactly this kind of paranoia that proves you're not fit to lead anymore. Interesting point, I said, opening a folder. Before we vote, I've got some materials of my own to share. Each board member got a copy. I waited. Confusion turned to shock as they flipped through the pages. "What is all this?" Bennett asked. "Everything," I replied. "Proof that Lena and Logan have been working to sabotage Apex Studio. Financial models showing Logan's restructuring plan will bankrupt the company in under 2 years. And, of course, emails where they discuss how to carve up the assets afterward." Carver looked up, stunned. "Lena, is this true?" Before she could speak, I continued. "And more importantly, proof that the key intellectual property, the engineering systems and designs that are Apex Studio, are not company-owned." Logan's head snapped up. "What are you talking about? Apex Studio owns all of that." I smiled for the first time. "No. I do. Personally. Apex Studio has an exclusive license to use the IP, but that license is void if there's an attempted hostile takeover." I gave them a moment. "Check Section 13, Paragraph 5 of the licensing agreement," I added. "You missed it." Panic rippled across the room as they skimmed their copies. "This meeting is over," I said, rising to my feet. "I suggest you all go over those documents very carefully before Monday's reconvening." As I walked out, my phone buzzed. A text from Claire. "Injunction granted. Their accounts are frozen. Investigation in motion." At 2 a.m., my phone rang. Lena's voice was shrill, a mix of fury and disbelief. "It's done," she snapped. "The company is mine. Security will be escorting you out in the morning." I looked at my watch. Right on time. "Interesting," I said calmly, and ended the call. I forwarded one last email to my lawyer, the one that showed Lena and Logan tried to move company assets into offshore accounts. By sunrise, Lena's phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. I could hear her through the wall, voice climbing with panic. "What do you mean he owns the patents? That's not possible." Then louder, "What injunction? He can't do that." And finally, her lawyer, yelling so loud I could hear every word through the door, "You have no legal standing. You signed away the rights. He owns everything." I started packing a bag. Lena stormed into the bedroom, face wet with tears, eyes burning with anger. "What did you do?" she yelled. I zipped up my suitcase. "I protected what's mine. Something you should have thought about before trying to steal it." "Ethan, please, you don't understand." Logan convinced me. "Don't," I said, cutting her off. "Your stuff will be packed and delivered. This house, just like the company, belongs to me. You've got 1 hour to be out before security shows up." As I walked to the door, she called after me. "You're just throwing away 11 years. I stopped but didn't turn around. 11 years ago, I gave you everything. This is just the return on that investment." At the top of a luxury tower, Logan paced his penthouse, phone glued to his ear. "What do you mean the assets are frozen? How the hell did he pull that off?" Lena sat slumped on the leather couch, still trying to process it all. "He knew," she muttered. "He knew everything." "That's not possible," Logan snapped. "We were careful." A knock on the door interrupted him. When he opened it, 2 men in suits were waiting. "Mr. Whitaker," the taller one asked. "I'm Agent Keller." "This is Agent Mirza. We need to ask you a few questions about some recent financial activity." Elsewhere in the city, I sat in Claire's office as she walked me through the latest developments. The judge approved the emergency injunction. Based on the evidence, all company accounts are frozen. And Lena and Logan are legally barred from accessing any Apex Studio systems or entering company property. I nodded. "One move at a time. Just like chess." "What about the board?" I asked. Claire leaned back. "It's chaos. 4 members already took back their votes. Said they were misled. I nodded slowly. And Project Keystone? She slid a folder across the desk. Just like you said, they tried to access it this morning. The dummy server caught everything. Timestamps, their IP addresses, even the specific files they went after. They have no clue the real files are somewhere else. None. The trap worked exactly as planned. That afternoon, I met Rachel at a secured location, a repurposed warehouse we've been using as a temporary command center. Screens lined the walls, tracking everything in real time, Lena's and Logan's locations, their phone calls, financial movements. When they hit the dummy server, the malware we planted latched on, Rachel explained. We've got full access to their devices. Every text, every email, every note. Show me, I said. She pulled up a message thread between the two of them. Logan, we need damage control. Now. Lena, I don't understand how he found out. We were so careful. Logan, forget that. Focus on what's next. The New Delhi investors are panicking. Lena, New Delhi. I thought you said they were from Berlin. Logan, not now, Lena. Just focus. I didn't say anything, but inside, I felt the corner starting to turn. They were already turning on each other. Good. The next morning, I walked into Apex Studio headquarters flanked by security. People stopped and stared as I headed straight for Lena's office. I didn't waste time, just started boxing things up, calmly, methodically. Miles Harrington, our head of operations, approached carefully. Ethan. What's going on? There's rumors flying. Lena Granger and Logan Whitaker tried to take control of this company illegally, I said, voice even. They failed. I'm still CEO. He looked stunned but managed a quiet, understood. Good. Call an all-hands meeting for 3 p.m. I'll address the team. At 3 p.m., I stood in front of the entire company. Everyone looked anxious. I kept my tone calm and steady. I know you've heard things. So here are the facts. Lena Granger and Logan Whitaker conspired to take over this company through illegal means. They didn't succeed. I paused. Business continues. But there will be changes. Effective immediately, Colin Mercer is our new COO. Rachel Granger is our Chief Security Officer. A few murmurs spread across the room. If you're uncomfortable with these changes, you're free to leave. But if you stay, and stand with us, you'll be rewarded for that loyalty. That evening, I sat alone in what used to be Lena's office. Her stuff was gone. The room felt colder, cleaner. My phone buzzed. Colin, Phase 1 complete. Collateral damage minimal. I replied immediately. Begin Phase 2. Logan slammed his laptop shut. Every client I've contacted refuses to meet. It's like Ethan got to all of them. Lena paced the cheap hotel room, visibly unraveling. My credit cards are maxed out. The bank won't budge. He's doing this. It's him, I know it. Logan snapped. You said he was clueless. Always buried in his work. Never cared about the business side. He was. At least, I thought. Her phone rang, her sister, Kelsey. Lena rushed to answer, desperate. Kelsey. Thank God. Listen, Kelsey cut her off, voice cold. Federal agents came to my house. They showed me emails, your emails, talking about using my name and social security number to open offshore accounts. Tell me that's not true. Kelsey, I can explain. Ethan already did, Kelsey said sharply. He showed me everything. I don't want to hear from you again. The line went dead. Meanwhile, I sat in a private room at the Obsidian Club, face to face with 5 of our biggest clients. The tension was thick, but I kept things direct. You all deserve the truth, I said. There was an attempt to hijack this company from the inside. I handed each of them a folder, documents detailing everything, Logan's past takeovers, his plans for Apex Studio, how he and Lena nearly compromised client data. Had they succeeded, your intellectual property would have been exposed. Project timelines derailed. Everything at risk. Victor Lang, the most senior of the group, looked up from the pages. And now? Now, I said, we continue, stronger than before. Security protocols are in place. The Montgomery Tower finishes on schedule. Singapore kicks off next month. By the end of the meeting, they'd not only agreed to stay on but extended their contracts. That night, Lena's phone rang again, her lawyer. It's worse than we thought, he said flatly. Ethan's filed a RICO suit. Both you and Logan are named. She didn't even get a word out before he added, the evidence is overwhelming. Bank records, fake companies tied to your name, emails. It's all there. What shell companies? Lena demanded. We never. The paperwork says otherwise. It's not just Apex Studio money. It's client funds. Project budgets. Lena, this is federal level now. She hung up and turned to Logan, shaking. My name is on shell corporations. The lawyer says it's ironclad. What did you do? Logan didn't answer right away. I did what had to be done, he said finally. To protect our future. By forging my name. Setting me up as the scapegoat, she shouted. Calm down, he hissed. It's normal in deals like this. Normal. It's fraud. Logan's face hardened. Keep your voice down. Ethan's bluffing. He's not built for a real fight. Lena stared at him, fear creeping into her voice. You don't know him, she said quietly. Not like I do. You don't know what he's capable of. The next morning, Logan's phone rang. It was his top investor, the one who was supposed to anchor the entire Apex Studio takeover. The deal's off, Logan. We're pulling out. What? You can't just. Our agreement was based on clean books. I just got a call from the SEC. They're opening an investigation into everything you've done for the past 5 years. I want no part of it. One by one, his investors bailed. By sunset, the whole network he'd built so carefully fell apart, like dry timber collapsing under its own weight. That night, Logan found an envelope slipped under his door. No return address. Inside, a single sheet of paper, typed. This is just the beginning. N.W. 2 months later, Logan stood in the empty shell of what used to be his company's headquarters. Everything was gone. Furniture, art, computers, repos took it all. His team had walked out after paychecks bounced. His phone, now just a cheap prepaid burner, buzzed. Whitaker. This is Detective Perkins with Financial Crimes. We'd like you to come in again. More questions. As soon as the call ended, Logan dialed Lena. They're closing in. We need to move faster. Move what faster? She asked, her voice lifeless. There's nothing left, Logan. My accounts are frozen. I'm stuck in a motel. Kelsey won't even talk to me. We still have one card left. Ethan's military history. The classified file. We can't touch that. It's illegal, accessing that stuff is a federal crime. It's the only thing we've got. Call him. Tell him if he doesn't back off, we go public. Lena hesitated. He's not the kind of man you can threaten. Everyone breaks for the right threat. Just make the call. Later that day, she met Ethan at a public park, somewhere open, with people around. He looked the same. Calm. Like he had all the time in the world, though he didn't sit. Thanks for coming, she said. You've got 5 minutes. Logan wants to threaten you. With stuff from your military past. I told him it wouldn't work. But he's desperate. Ethan didn't flinch. So that's why you called me out here. To give me a heads up. That, and, to ask, hasn't this gone far enough? You've taken the company. The house. My name's in the dirt. What else do you want? Justice, he said, plain and even. You and Logan are going to pay for everything you did. I made a mistake, Ethan. People mess up. No, he said. A mistake is forgetting your anniversary. You planned this. You lied and schemed for months. That's not a mistake. That's betrayal. Tears welled in her eyes. I still love you, Ethan. Despite everything. For the first time, something shifted in his face. Not sympathy. Disgust. No, you don't. You loved the lifestyle. The status. What I gave you. But me? No. If you did, none of this would have happened. She reached out, grabbing his arm. Please. Just tell me what you want. I'll do anything. He looked down at her hand. She let go. What I want, he said, isn't something you can give. It's something I'll take. Slowly. Piece by piece. Until there's nothing left. He walked away, leaving her on that bench like someone buried alive in daylight. That night, another envelope reached Logan. This time with photos. Him shaking hands with known criminals. Him entering that hotel with Lena. Him accessing restricted Apex Studio files. There was a note stapled to the back. The FBI gets these tomorrow unless you're on the 7 a.m. flight to London. Alone. N.W. The next morning, Lena showed up at his apartment. Empty. Just a note scratched out on a piece of notebook paper. Had to leave. Too dangerous to stay in contact. Will reach out when I can. P. But she knew he wouldn't. He was gone. And she was completely, painfully alone. 7 months later, Apex Studio wasn't just standing, it was booming. New contracts were flooding in. Stock value had doubled. Awards rolled in for the very designs I'd once kept behind the scenes while Lena played the face of the company. Now, the spotlight was mine. And I didn't mind. I had a new place, something I built myself. Minimalist. Sharp lines. Every angle calculated. Just like the new life I'd carved out. Only 2 people stayed close, Colin and Rachel. The ones I trusted. We sat out on my terrace overlooking the city. The Singapore project's ahead of schedule, Colin said. Your changes to the structural model saved us 30% in build time, no loss in quality. I nodded. And the legal front? Rachel glanced at her tablet. Logan's still in United Kingdom. Extradition is slow. Complicated. As for Lena, she's offering to testify. Wants a deal in exchange. No, I said. She gets nothing. They exchanged a look. Ethan, Colin said carefully, the DA says her testimony's key. Without it. Then we give them what we've been holding back, I cut in. The offshore transactions. The threats to employees. All of it. Rachel frowned. But that means exposing how we got some of that evidence. And it wasn't all, standard procedure. Then find another way, I said. But she gets no favors. Not from me. Later that night, I was going over blueprints when my security system pinged. Visitor at the gate. It was Andrew, Lena's son from her first marriage. College kid. He used to stay with us during holidays. Looked the same, just older. A little unsure. I paused. Then unlocked the gate. He stood in the living room, shifting his weight like he didn't know what to do with his hands. Nice place, he said after a long silence. What do you want, Andrew? I asked. I just need to understand what happened. Andrew stood there, clearly struggling. She won't talk about it. She just cries. She betrayed me, I told him. She betrayed everything we built. That's all there is to it. His jaw tightened. She made a mistake. People make mistakes. You mean like logging into the Apex Studio servers after her access had been revoked? Like sending out confidential project files from her old credentials? The color drained from his face. You didn't think I'd figure it out? I asked. It was you helping her, Andrew. I know. How could you possibly? Timestamps. IP logs. You left a trail a mile wide. Your digital signature is all over the breaches. She's my mother, he said, voice shaky. She told me she just needed some files she'd worked on. She lied to you. The same way she lied to me. And you let yourself get dragged into her mess. His voice cracked. So what now? What are you going to do? I already have. Check your school email. He stared at me, confused. Your fellowship's been revoked. Housing for next semester, denied. You can't do that, he said, anger bubbling up. That fellowship was based on merit. And it's funded by a foundation chaired by Victor Lang, I said calmly. You know, my biggest client. When he found out you were involved in a data breach that nearly sank his favorite architect's firm. He made his own call. He looked stunned, then furious. You were like a father to me. And you were like a son, I said, the only time I let any real emotion leak through. Which is exactly why this hurts. But remember this, next time someone asks you to sell out your principles for family loyalty. Don't. I walked to the door and opened it. Goodbye, Andrew. After he left, I poured a bourbon and stood by the window, watching the lights of the city blink against the night sky. What I did to Andrew, some might call it harsh. Maybe even cruel. But I've learned one thing the hard way. Betrayal always has a price. 2 years after everything went down, I was standing on stage at the International Architecture and Engineering Awards, accepting the prize for innovation in structural design. The Singapore Tower. The project Logan and Lena nearly blew up. This award belongs to the entire Apex Studio team, I said. The people who understand that true innovation comes from integrity, vision, and loyalty to something bigger than ourselves. Everyone in the room got the message. They all knew the story. The headlines. The scandal. After the ceremony, Sophia Ellison approached me. One of the brightest minds in architecture. I'd followed her work for years. Congratulations, she said. The Singapore Tower is next level. Thank you, I replied. You were robbed last year. The Alpine Center should have won. She gave a small, knowing smile. Politics, I said. Always politics. Join me for a drink? I offered. Later, in the hotel bar, the conversation shifted, drifting from blueprints to something more personal. Everyone's talking about your comeback, Sophia said. After what your wife did. Ex-wife, I corrected. And I didn't come back. I just removed what was trying to take me down. She studied me. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone bitter. Angry. Damaged. And what do you see instead? She hesitated. Someone dangerously self-contained. Like you've built walls no one gets through. Just then, my phone buzzed. An alert. I stood up. Sorry. Work emergency. It wasn't work. Lena had been seen near my property. I arrived to find her sitting on the steps outside my gate. Security had called me. You're not supposed to be here, I said, keeping my distance. You're violating the restraining order. She looked, worn down. Thinner. Older. Like the weight of the past 2 years had aged her a decade. I'm leaving, she said softly. As part of the plea deal. Voluntary deportation. I needed to see you one last time. You've seen me, I said. Now go. Ethan, please. After everything we had. We didn't have anything, I said, cutting her off. I thought we did. I was wrong. That's not true. I loved you. I made a terrible mistake, but I loved you. Love without loyalty? I shook my head. That's not love. That's just convenient affection. And it's worthless. She stood up slowly, unsteady. So this is it, she asked. You'd rather live behind these walls than have anyone in your life who isn't afraid of you? For a brief second, something flickered inside me. Not doubt, just awareness. Awareness of what I'd become in the name of justice. What I want doesn't matter anymore, I said quietly. This is what I need. I turned my back and walked through the gate. I didn't look back when she called my name one last time. The next morning, a package showed up at my door. Inside was a handwritten letter from Lena, and a small velvet box. I didn't read the letter. Didn't need to. I dropped it into the fireplace and watched it burn. The paper curled and blackened, turning to ash without a word from me. The ring? I kept it. I locked it away in the safe, next to the reminders of things I can't afford to forget. My father's watch, frozen at the exact minute he died. That bullet in Afghanistan almost took me too. Now, this ring joins the collection. A symbol of a promise that turned out to be as worthless as fool's gold. Later that day, I met with the executive team. We were finalizing the 10-year expansion strategy. Not a single person brought up Lena or the news of her departure. Everyone had seen it, quiet deportation, part of her plea deal, but no one said a word. After the meeting, Colin stuck around. I heard Sophia Ellison is still considering our offer to join the New Delhi project, he said. I nodded. She's got conditions. Mostly around creative control. Are you willing to give her that? If her vision matches our standards, yes. He hesitated a second. She's also asking about you. Personally. I looked at him. My personal life stays separate from business. Does it? Colin tilted his head. Ethan, it's been 2 years. At some point. At some point, nothing, I cut in. The company's thriving. That's what matters. Colin let out a quiet sigh. It's not the only thing that matters. You've rebuilt Apex Studio into something stronger than ever. But you're turning into a fortress with no doors. I turned toward the skyline outside my window. Fortresses survive, Colin, I said. That's the point. 3 years after everything, Apex Studio had gone global. My designs were on skylines from New York to Singapore, sustainable, iconic, forward-thinking. The company Lena and Logan tried to hijack was now worth 10 times what it used to be. And it stood on the shoulders of the people who stayed loyal when it counted. I had the day off, one of the rare ones, and was sitting in my home office, sorting through messages. Most were invites to give talks or keynote addresses. I declined them all. Then a news alert flashed across the screen. Logan Whittaker found dead in London. Turns out, facing extradition and financial collapse, he'd chosen to end his own story rather than face what was coming. I closed the alert. No emotion. No relief. Just, closure of a different kind. That chapter ended the day I found out what he and Lena had done. Whatever came after was just fallout. The phone rang. Claire Dalton, my attorney. I'm guessing you've seen the news, she said. I have. There's something else. He left a message. A recording. You were mentioned directly. My interest perked up. What did he say? That you destroyed him. Deliberately. Methodically. He blamed you for everything, his downfall, the investigations, his own team turning on him. Any proof to back up that drama? None. It was more like a desperate rant, she said. Then hesitated. But Ethan, he also accused you of accessing military intel to blackmail your old contacts. It's serious. Untrue, I said, without hesitation. I believe you. But rumors like that have legs. The press. They won't find anything. Because there's nothing to find. Even so. Logan destroyed himself, I said. I just made sure he didn't drag the rest of us down with him. When the call ended, I walked through the house. It was quiet, sterile, almost. The kind of quiet you earn after a long war. I stepped out onto the terrace. The skyline stretched in every direction, dotted with buildings I'd designed. Structures that would still be standing long after I was gone. My phone rang again. Sophia. I saw the headline, she said. Are you okay? That surprised me. Why wouldn't I be? Because no matter what he did, the man's dead, she said. And it stirs everything up again. Because, you're still human, Ethan. Even if you try hard not to be. Her honesty was irritating. But it also cut through the noise. I'm fine, I told her. His death changes nothing. Doesn't it? She asked. The man who helped wreck your marriage and tried to take your company is gone. That doesn't give you any kind of. I don't know, peace. Closure is a fairy tale people tell themselves to feel better, I said. I don't need it. There was silence on the line. You know, she said, most people would find that incredibly bleak. I'm not most people. No, she agreed. You're not. That's why the New Delhi project needs you. That's why I need you. The word need lingered in the air. It meant more than she said out loud. I'll go over the revised designs tomorrow, I said, dodging it. Not good enough, she replied. I'm coming over. We need to finalize the structural elements before the client meeting. Before I could stop her, she hung up. 3 hours later, she was at my dining table, blueprints spread out, rattling off specs like a machine. Her energy cracked through my usual calm. That cantilever design of yours, she said. Genius. I tied it in here and here. Creates that floating effect you wanted without compromising support. As we worked, the walls I kept up started to shift. Not fall, but move. Sophia didn't just follow my ideas. She improved them. She challenged them. She matched me, move for move. You know what your real problem is, she said suddenly, while we took a break. I've got a few. Narrow it down. You need people, Ethan. Not just employees. Real people who see you. The real me isn't all that pleasant, I said. I disagree, she said without missing a beat. Underneath all that genius and discipline is someone who feels too much. That's why you built the walls so high in the first place. Her words hit a little too close to home. You don't know me, Sophia. I know enough, she said. I know you're lonely. And I know you've convinced yourself that it's just the cost of success. She met my eyes. And I know you're wrong. Her boldness should have pushed me away. But somehow, it didn't. People didn't talk to me like that anymore. Not Colin, not Rachel. They'd learned where the line was, and not to cross it. Before I could say anything, the security system buzzed. Visitor at the gate. I checked the camera. It was Andrew. I need to deal with this, I said, slipping back behind the emotional wall I'd built. Andrew had put on weight, lost more hair. He looked older than he should have, like life had taken more from him than he was ready to give. There was something in his eyes, something desperate, like he'd already lost everything and this was the last thing he had left to try. I hit the intercom. "What do you want?" "5 minutes," he said. "Just 5. Against every instinct I had, I let him in. He stood in the living room like he didn't quite know what to do with himself. Just like the last time he was here, 2 years ago. "Mom's dead," he said, no build-up, no emotion. I didn't react. "When?" "Last week. New York. They're saying natural causes, but," his voice cracked. "She had nothing left to live for." "You made sure of that?" "Your mother made her own choices," I said, cold and flat. "So did you," he snapped. "She was trying to protect me. The files I got into, she needed them to clear her name. To prove she wasn't behind it all. That Logan manipulated her." I stared at him. "And did the files prove that?" He looked away. "No. They proved she lied to me too. She was involved from the start." I gave a small nod. "Didn't surprise me. Why are you really here, Andrew?" He reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope. His hand shook a little as he held it out. "She left this for you. Made me promise to give it to you myself." I took it but didn't open it. "Anne. I need to know. Was any of it real? Did you ever care about us?" I looked him in the eyes. "Yeah. I did. That's why it hurt." After he left, Sophia stepped out of the kitchen where she'd quietly given us space. "You gonna read it?" she asked. I looked at the envelope. Heavy, somehow. Like it carried more than just paper. "No. Ethan. It doesn't matter what it says. Apologies. Justifications. More lies. It won't change anything." She stepped closer. "Maybe not the past. But it could change how you move forward." "I've moved forward," I said. "The company's never been stronger. Our work's groundbreaking. What more is there?" "Life," she said. "Connection. Forgiveness. Not for her, but for you." I looked at her for a long time. Then I walked over to my desk and slid the envelope into a drawer. "Still sealed. Some things can't be forgiven," I said. "Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt." She didn't argue. Instead, she looked at me and asked, "And us? Is this a bridge or a wall?" Her words hung in the space between us. "Not just about us, but everything. My company, my legacy, my solitude. The fortress I'd built to keep the world out, and keep myself in." I glanced at the drawer. At the past sealed inside. The truth was, some wounds don't heal. Trust, once it's shattered, doesn't go back together. Not completely. But maybe, just maybe, you don't have to rebuild the old bridge. Maybe you can build something new. "I don't know yet," I told her honestly. "But I'm willing to find out." She nodded. Said nothing more. Because she got it. We went back to the blueprints, side by side, as night settled in over the skyline I'd helped shape. A city built by my own hands. A life shaped by pain, drive, betrayal, and maybe something else, too. In my pocket, I felt the small key to the safe where I kept the reminders, my father's watch, the bullet, Lena's ring. Artifacts of pain. Lessons that still echoed. Maybe someday, they'd just be objects again. Quiet. Powerless. But not today. Today, they were still warnings. Trust is earned once. Betrayal is forever. And I wouldn't forget. That's where the story ends. If it spoke to you, drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. There's another one waiting for you right here on the screen. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you there.